Time for the rural news now with Maya Barry. Kia ora, Maya.
Morning, Kim.
Gosh, vets are in short supply, as predicted.
Yes, so they really can't find enough staff at the moment, and a vet recruitment agency says that the situation has reached a crisis point now. In June, the government did announce that 50 general practice vets, they would be allowed to enter the country under a border exemption, and that was to help with the labour shortage. But the New Zealand Veterinary Association says only 2 have arrived, and a further 11 are waiting for a spot in MIQ. And Julie South from the vet recruitment agency Vet Staff says that overseas vets, they're even reluctant to start the visa process because of the delays they're seeing with MIQ. And she says that this shortage is having a huge impact on the sector.
Some clinics are having to close, hopefully temporarily, because they can't find enough vets to staff them. I have heard stories of some clinics not being able to meet their after-hours requirements in some of the smaller centres because they are just overworked and overstressed and overtired, which means then that animal and human welfare is compromised.
And Ms. South says she knows of 10 clinics that have had to close down, and this has led her to start a petition where she's calling on the government to allocate 2 spots in MIQ each week for vets. And she says that overseas vets are reaching out to her for help.
Hearing that they think it's a laughing joke, that New Zealand is a bit of a laughing stock internationally, and they are very frustrated.
And Julie South says there's just not enough New Zealanders taking up a career in the industry, which is leaving them to turn to overseas vets for help. So if you're anyone considering a career change, sounds like plenty of opportunities there.
Might take a wee while to get up to that speed. Regenerative agriculture, we're hearing a lot about regenerative agriculture. And a new report says New Zealand should develop its own definition.
Yeah, this is interesting, and as you say, it's something that is definitely being talked about more, and I think a bit of confusion around it as well. To better understand the opportunities, the industry groups, Beef and Lamb and New Zealand wine growers, they did commission a report, and this report found that the global trend of regenerative agriculture, it could present big opportunities for farmers here, and that's particularly because of our pasture-based systems, but it did also find the absence of a clear definition and understanding of what the practice is. And report co-author Mike Lee, he's from the US-based food innovation agency Alpha Foods. He says that most people agree at its core that it's about improving the health of the land, plants, animals and people. But he says developing a set of principles at a national level, he thinks that could give New Zealand farmers an edge as the market for regenerative products does grow.
You know, we spoke to some people in New Zealand where I think there was this kind of almost assumption that regenerative agriculture is this thing that's been already happening and well established, and it was sort of New Zealand's job to learn what everyone was doing and kind of adopt that and jump on the bandwagon. I don't think that's as much the case. I think it's actually not so fully fleshed out enough that there's kind of one company or entity or country that's dominating and making all the rules up for regenerative agriculture. It's really kind of up for New Zealanders to claim and define what their version of regenerative ag is.
Is that at all confusing for consumers, though, if there's so many different definitions of what regenerative agriculture is?
The process of practicing and implementing regen ag is so complex, more complex than, let's say, organic standards in the United States, where if you kind of check off the 25 boxes, you're considered organic, right? So that's a little easier to explain to people because it's a very regimented, uniform process. Regen ag is crazy different because 2 farmers next to each other on the road could be both regenerative but doing completely different things to the land that they're doing. The focus, I think, needs to be placed less on the processes. It needs to be focused more on the outcomes.
That's Mike Lee from Alpha Foods, and that is the rural news for now. I will be back at 12:35 with another update, including the latest results from the global dairy trade auction overnight.